Welcome back, graphic designers. Here is another tutorial video. In this one, we're going to talk about cropping and masking your different objects and images that you have in the scene. And for this one, we chose the Harry Potter theme. So for cropping an image, this is kind of a cheat code, if you will, for being able to merge an image with another piece of the background to make it look like they are hidden behind it or coming out from behind it. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So when you have one of your transparent PNGs, again, one of these pictures that have a clear background so you can see other things behind it, you can double click on them in order to crop them. Now, when I double clicked on it, you saw that the blue box became more of a black box, and it has these thicker black rectangles on the sides and corners. And that allows you to essentially hide part of the image. So, for example, if I have Hagrid here and I want to make it look like he is coming out of this gate over here, I'm going to crop half of his side here so that that part will essentially appear hidden behind. Okay, so now notice that this part of his arm and his coat are semi-transparent, almost like ghost-like. That means that that part will no longer be seen based on what I've currently have selected for what I want to be cropped. So if I like that, I'm going to click anywhere outside of the shape, so usually off in the white space. And when I deselect him, now you'll see there's part of him that is missing, and that's because I've essentially cropped it out of the image. So now let's say I want to resize him a little bit and move him over by that little gate. And let's see if it gives us the effect that we want. So I'm going to just move the corner of the box right up there. And he's not that tall because now we're dealing with perspective too, right? How far away something is or how close it is to the camera. So I'm going to just resize him a little bit more. He's a pretty tall guy though. And then I'm just going to use my arrow keys to bump him up just a little bit. All right, and then I'm going to click out into the white to see. All right, it looks like he just kind of ducked out of that gate, and he's still semi past it here. All right, so that's one example. And let's say the sorting hat here. Let's say we wanted him to be poking out from behind this fire hydrant. And let's see here. I'm going to put him right up next to it. And I'm going to double click him to crop him. And I'm going to try to find the edge of where that fire hydrant is. So I'm kind of looking at the base of it underneath. And then notice too that I have this road sign that's like right near it as well. So if I just bump that over just slightly and I click out of that, let's see how that looks. So it looks like the hat is hidden behind. And I'm using shift and my down arrow and right arrow here to kind of nudge him just a little bit. And then let's click out and see. So now it looks like he's kind of hidden behind the fire hydrant. So I didn't have to go and do any of the other fancy tools that you'll see in some of the more advanced tutorials. I just had to crop out part of the image. So it looks like it's hidden behind something else. All right. And then let's say, again, based on our prompt here, that Harry has lost a couple of these items in a Muggle neighborhood, and he wants to be able to find them before Snape does. So let's say, not want to move the whole background here. Anytime you make a mistake like that, you can just hit the undo button. But let's say Snape, speaking of perspective, let's say he is a lot closer to the camera. Let's say he is right on the corner by the stop sign here. Now in slides, you'll see whatever hangs off of the slide is out in this white space. But let's say I wanted to crop it so that it looks like it's part of the scene here. So if I double click on Snape, I'm going to grab that little thick black rectangle in the center, and I'm going to drag it up and see that white guiding line that's helping me. And then that big red line appears. That lets me know, okay, it is now in line with the bottom of the slide and the image. So when I let go, and click out of that. Now it looks like he is standing on the street corner, closer to the camera, and then all of these things are off and behind him. Okay. All right, so that is cropping. Masking is a whole other way of cropping things. And this one, let's say we're creating a scene here with all of these hidden objects that are, kind of in plain sight. But if you've ever done like a Where's Waldo and you see there's all these things hidden throughout the scene that you got to try to find. So let's say we wanted to create one of those for our Harry Potter theme here. And we would have the objects themselves somewhere in the scene. So let me make a copy of Dobby here. If I just go up to Edit, Duplicate, or Control D on a Chromebook, I'll have 2 copies of him now. And let's say I put one, he's going to be pretty far back in this scene, and he's already pretty small. So I'm just going to make him super, super tiny. And then I'm just going to use my arrow keys to kind of move him around. See, he's going to be way, way tinier than that. Sorry, I'm trying to be as realistic to the source material as possible. All right, so we've got him down there far away on the street. He's standing on the sidewalk. Now let's say we wanted to create kind of a menu of objects off to the side so people know what they are trying to locate within your sticker scene here. You don't want to have the full character off to the side because you just don't have the space for them to see everything that they're trying to locate within this picture. So that's where we can use the masking tool, which is right next to the cropping tool up here. So earlier I told you to just double click on an image, but you can also click on it once so that you've got the blue rectangle around it. And then if you come up here and click on the crop image tool, it's going to bring up the black rectangle like I told you already here. But there's another option too, just to the right of that. It's a little drop down arrow and it says mask image. So if I click that, now it gives me all of my standard shapes, arrows, callouts, and equations. And when I select one of these, it's going to crop my image using that shape. So let's say I wanted to use the oval here. And you'll notice now there is kind of an oval around his body. So if I click out, you'll see now his ears have been cut off, his feet have been cut off. That's not quite what I want. So I'm going to double click again, and now I'm going to use this oval tool to try to essentially get a circle around his head. Okay, so I'm going to come out here just a little bit. I'm going to use the corners to kind of space it out how I want. And with all of these tools, you just got to keep playing with it until you see what it's capable of. And then you'll figure out what you want it to look like. All right, so now you see I've got a slight blue circle around his upper torso and his head. So now when I click out into the white, his body is gone, and I just see him as if he's like on a coin of some sort, right? So I could use that to be part of my menu of which items are hidden in the scene that you have to try to find. Now it's transparent background, right? So I see the white behind it. Maybe I want to add a splash of color too. That's where I can come in and add one of my shapes here. I'm gonna go to shape and use the same circle/oval tool. Oops. Just gotta hover over it the right way here. Circle. And if I hold down the shift key while I'm drawing this, I'm just gonna click and drag. It's going to make a perfect circle. And I'm going to try to get it the same size. So see now that there's a blue line underneath the circle and Dobby. That means that they are now the same width. So if I let go, I now have my circle. And then I can choose a different fill color. And I'll pick something kind of bright. Let's try this purple here. And I'm going to drag that down. And I'm going to look for those red lines. That lets me know I'm right behind him, or right in line with the other circle. Now you're like, whoa, what happened to Dobby? He's gone. Well, I'm going to send this circle to the back. So with it selected, I'm going to go to Arrange, Order. Oops, come on. Here we go. And then I'm going to go Send to Back. All right, so now it looks almost like a sticker. I know this is our sticker scenes, but now he's in this colored circle, and it looks like, again, part of a menu of different items that you're trying to find within the scene. All right, so I know this video is probably already longer than it needs to be, but that is some of the tips and tricks to being able to crop your images. Again, take out part of it so it's no longer seen, as well as masking, meaning crop it in a specific shape, like a circle here for Dobby. So I could do that with all of my characters and objects once I've placed them in the scene and tried to kind of hide them just a little bit. And then people would have their menu of things to try to find off to the left or off to the right as well. And then if I wanted to find more objects, I could use these two sources here, Clean PNG and Snipstock, to try to find more things to fill my scene with. All right, we'll see you on the next tutorial.